About good posture. My name's James Harrison and I'm the chiropractor at Connective Chiropractic in Basingstoke. Now, a lot of people purport to know a lot about posture in general and about what is deemed good in society. But actually, there isn't such thing as one good posture. It has to be right for you. And no matter what you are doing, or whatever activities you're doing, or how your body naturally functions, you have to find out the right posture for you, and you have to follow some simple tips and tricks to make sure you really ramp it up so you can stay away from aches and pains, whether in your back, your neck, your shoulders, your head, wherever in your body. Now, this video is going to focus about the upper body in particular. There are some other issues to talk about with regards to the lower back and the lower part of everybody's bodies with regards to posture, but we're going to talk about this upper body area. Now, the things to avoid. Lots of things to avoid, but anything that brings you into this crunching position tends to actually be not that great for our posture if it is sustained over a large period of time. And the really unhelpful thing is most things in everyday life bring you into this crunch focus. So it doesn't actually have to be a crunch like an exercise or something that goes on in the gym, for example. It can also be reading the newspaper, reading up in bed, sitting and watching the TV, slouching. All of these actions bring us forward. And what we often want to do is create a bit of balance in that so that we can bring ourselves out and allow things to feel a little bit more centered and a little bit more level. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the anatomy of this as we go through this video. But there are some key muscles you want to focus on in terms of balancing this up so that you can get a better posture. But what I'm saying is, as I was saying earlier, is that posture really isn't about just how it looks. And a lot of people get focused on this look appearance. And certainly, yes, good posture looks good. It looks very dominant and domineering, say on Instagram posts or the like. But actually you want to make sure it's functionally good for you too. And there are some stonking great curves that naturally happen within your body and the spine, and they're designed to give you more strength and support. So actually straight and level isn't always the best thing when it comes to posture. So working with those curves are good, but as I said, crunch-based motions and movements aren't always good for postural type of considerations. And neither are, whilst I'm here, are those aids that you might see advertised on Facebook or around that bring you back. So you might have seen these posture devices that are out everywhere at the moment that pull you back. That seems like such a good idea as a quick win, but it actually isn't, because what it's doing is it's pulling a lot of these muscles that you want to focus on, more on that in a second, and actually it's a little bit uncomfortable, but B, actually it's taking off the load from those muscles so you're not using them as well as they could. What's best is actually the long-term game, figuring out what's right for you and how you can get on top of these postural considerations to really get rid of those aches and pains. So there is an issue called upper cross syndrome, and I'm going to talk about it. Now, this is debated in some respects in some of the literature out there, but it is useful to know some of the anatomy because it's irresponsible, a large portion anyway, to why we crunch forward. Now, if we have essentially an imaginary line between a sort of chest going through to the back, and on the other way as well, we literally have a cross on either side of our bodies. We, feel free to Google it if that bit doesn't make sense. What we have essentially is an imbalance between muscles on the front of the body to the back of the body. And what this does is it naturally tips us forward, up and over. So we're looking at weaker muscles on one side and tighter on the other. So we have weak neck flexor muscles. And these muscles here that normally bend us forward, these are quite weak. And also we might find that our lower trapezius muscles right at the back, and also the serratus anterior muscles on the other side, that back side of that cross, are weaker. So that naturally creates a tension across the body of weakness. Contradicting that, you'll have tight pec muscles right into here, chest muscles, and you'll have tight upper trapezius muscles going into the levator scapula, the muscle that lifts our shoulder up and round. So if you've been into my clinic and you've been hearing me talking about the serratus muscles or the levator scapula muscles, please bear in mind if I've then given you exercises and stretches to do about extension. It's often because what I'm saying essentially is that these muscles are starting to pull you forward, and it's not meaning that you've got the power or the strength in its fullest capacity to support you best. Now, of course, you've got the strength and capacity. You can get on with your life without having necessarily any aches or pains. But over time, using those muscles, going along with those weaknesses and those over strong muscles will bring you further forward. And that's not what we want. Yes, you can see those pictures as those timeline pictures used to be used a lot in professions to scare people, where the people start to look a little bit more like a tortoise type of thing. That comes from these muscles being tighter and weak. And that's a long-term, years and years and years down the line type of thing. But you want to get on top of it. You want to make sure that these are working really well. And I compare this and thinking about this upper body posture really as if you've got a cocktail stick and a rubber band. So if you've got the cocktail stick being your body, your frame, your posture, and the rubber band being how those muscles are pulling you, you want to keep it nice and level, or as much as you can, despite those stonking great curves that I talked about earlier on in this video. So you really want to balance those up. And if you're unsure how to, then this is when going to a healthcare professional such as myself can really benefit, because it's not just about the muscles. It's not just about yanking them back and making sure you stand up tall. It needs to be comfortable for you to do it over a long period of time and to sustain it. But more often than that, as actually and more useful in terms of advice, is one posture is very rarely not useful to us as human beings. We need to move to do things that we need to do. And so actually it is very easy, unless we train the body, to get out of good posture and to worry about the fact that we're crumpling in. But actually we need to get into good posture, and we need to sustain it as we're moving. And this comes from being dynamic. This comes from being functionally aware. And that's where things like chiropractic really have their benefits. So if we can be of use, please feel free to ask questions in the comments below, or you can book in for an initial consultation and onboarding session with us, and we'll be happy to comment on that further. Now, if you're at work, how do you get your workstation so that it is just right for you, so you can make sure that you're not going into this crunch-based format? Well, the answer really here is to make sure that things are more ergonomic in nature. Now, if you've seen me in the clinic, you'll know that the word ergonomics and me don't always get on, because sometimes you want to edit ergonomic advice to your advantage. But in general, what you want to do with ergonomics is make sure that all your joints and all your muscles and ligaments are supporting you and they're not feeling overstrained in any one position. So you want to make sure that the monitor is ahead of you and it's comfortable. Everything's really about comfort when we're talking about ergonomics and the big broad brush strokes. If you've got more than one monitor, you don't want them right ahead of you, because you're going to start to twist your neck one way. You don't want one to one side and one ahead of you. You want them on both sides so you can move. Because the next sort of firing line, the next sort of tip against postural issues is movement. The more you can move, the better. So if you've got a monitor here and a monitor here, you can move. And actually that gives you that ability. Now, I know some jobs you need them side by side, but you can put them together and you can at least move. The other thing is to break the routine, break the monotony of whatever you are doing in your home environment, your work environment, so that you can move as much as you can. And the advice normally is to do this every 20, 30 minutes or so. But for some of us, if we've got a job like, I don't know, we're accountants, for that's a new job. We're accountants, for example, you'll be engrossed in the numbers. So place a stapler on the other side of the room. Make sure you go and get a drink or something at a break time. Make sure you have a break time. Go up and down the stairs so that you can walk up and down the stairs when you're going to the loo. All these motions and activities, yes, they help in terms of exercise and general motion, but they're also exercising the joints that create how we naturally posture ourselves. Another tip is the old-fashioned school shake it out type of thing. Just giving your body an opportunity to not be in one fixed position is a great thing to do. And it seems so small. We get so focused this day and age on all the big stuff that we can do, what exercise we need to do in the gym, how we can perform better by X, Y, and Z, but actually the little things often count most. Shaking your shoulders out, doing little circles with them is really good for this. And if you've got this sort of natural crunch type posture, you see how it works. It actually starts to bring you back a little bit. And that's where the benefit is really at. The other thing you can do is think about where you're naturally bending forward and coming back in that position. You can essentially push your belly button inwards and it will give you a better posture. So being able to breathe normally but pushing your belly button in will bring you up naturally, and it gives you that extra posture. If you're noticing any achy points or sore spots, that's when you want to start to figure out where is that sore spot, because that's normally the point where you're starting to cantilever forward. And you can move it back and forward. So I look like I'm doing like a sort of chicken maneuver. You can do whatever you want with the arms. That's not part of the routine. But that will give you some extra motion within those spinal segments and keep things moving. Please note, I'm saying movement's the answer here, not being forced back. So again, if you're looking at those postural devices that are advertised online that force you back into a position, it's not really going to help. It's just going to make you sore. But moving, it's good. And the other thing I'll say about good posture is, as I mentioned earlier, it's not necessarily sustainable over a period of time. You want to get in and out of it and not beat yourself up if you enter something that's a little bit less good in terms of posture. If you're slouching on front of the sofa, it's not the end of the world. Don't beat yourself up about it. But the best thing to do is to recognise that you're in a bad posture and get out of it. If you've got any queries or comments about posture, about aches or pains in general, we are open here at Connective Chiropractic and we're happy to help as much as we can. We know that people are in aches and pains as a result of lockdown, and we're here to help as much as we can. If we can, feel free to direct message us. You can book in online at connectivechiropractic.co.uk, or you can just simply type below, and we'd love to hear from you. But I hope you have a great day, and I hope this video has been useful. Do let us know if it has been, because we'd love to know. Take care.